Former leader of the SNP at Westminster, Ian Blackford, is with us now. It's always great to see you. Thanks for joining us on the
Pleasure
programme.
to be with you, Kate.
Do we need a complete overhaul of the system?
Yes,
Why?
we do, because there has to be transparency and there has to be trust. You know, that clip that you just showed there, let me thank Sky and Tortoise for the work that you've both done. But where you've got MPs that are not being open about where their earnings are coming from, and of course, being a Member of Parliament is an important role. You've been put there by the electorate and they need to know that you're doing your job. So there has to be transparency, and I think it is right that we see legislation that cleans this up. Not that long ago, we had the expenses scandal at Westminster. It's important that MPs are above reproach. We've had the situation, of course, where Owen Paterson was forced out of Parliament. You've got the situation where you have had MPs, where you've had paid advocacy. These things can't happen. And we need to make it very clear that politicians need to make sure that they've got the trust from the public for the job that they're doing.
Do you have a time frame?
I think we need to do this as quickly as possible. I think
what does that mean?
Well, I think really that the Prime Minister's got to look to bring forward legislation within this session of Parliament. It's an important issue. You know, we've come through a situation where, obviously, we had the situation with Boris Johnson, everything that went on with Partygate. The standing of politicians has suffered over the course of the last few years. So we have to take our own responsibilities to make sure that we have our house in order, that we have to be above suspicion. That means that we have to make sure that the rules are tightened up. Nobody's saying that there are things that MPs can't do, but it has to be fair and it has to be proportionate. And the primary responsibility of any Member of Parliament is to represent their constituents.
I mean, you've had a second job in the past, as we know. Is it possible for MPs to have second jobs as well as be an MP?
I think what we need to do is actually have rules that the public can have trust in. When I came into Parliament, I had a couple of non-executive directorships, and I gave a commitment at the 2019 election that I would bring them to a close. But of course, these were things that didn't have any interference at all in the job that I did. I was a full-time Member of Parliament, but I've chosen that I would not do that. But we need to make sure that the public can have confidence in the way that MPs are going around their business, and their primary responsibility is to represent their constituents, and there are no conflicts of interest, because that's important.
Why is it the SNP, you think, that is taking the lead on this overhaul and not, say, Labour?
Well, I think this has to be an across-party issue, because all of us have a responsibility, and I would appeal to parliamentarians across the House. Let's make sure that we take appropriate action. We need to be sure that we can be judged by the things that we do. And my plea to colleagues, let's make sure that we clean up politics. You know, we've got the situation, you're talking about second jobs, but there's all sorts of issues around all-party parliamentary groups. That's been raised as well. The fact that there's dark money involved in many cases too. We can't have this. So we need to make sure that we look at all the mechanisms, look at the way that Parliament operates. Let's make sure that Parliament is above suspicion and that we can all take pride and how we go about the job that we do.
But it's not new, is it? I mean, it's just that we've brought all of this with Tortoise Media together in one place with an easy-to-use tool. I mean, why has something not been done before now? Well,
I think people have actually raised this. I mean, you've had situations over many years. I mean, you've had a number of Prime Ministers that have gone in the very recent past that all of a sudden are generating really quite substantial amounts of money. Boris Johnson's has raised £1 million from speaking engagements.
2.8 million for Theresa May.
Exactly. So I think we need to look at someone that's been a politician that all of a sudden are using the fact that they've been in high office basically as a calling card to get paid. And so we need to make sure this is policed properly, and we need to make sure that people can have trust and have faith in the job that politicians are asked to do. So this whole thing needs looked at. The whole thing needs to be reviewed. We need legislation to do that, and it should be done on an all-party basis. And I'm pleased that the SNP is the party that's brought this forward. But everybody else needs to step up.
OK, what do you say to those that suggest that Stephen Flynn, new job, just showboating?
No, because I think at the end of the day, it's about that responsibility that we have to the public. Sky News-Tortoise has shone a light on this. Politicians have got a responsibility to act, to make sure that we've actually got the best-in-class politicians, people that we can have faith in. Nobody's saying that there aren't circumstances where MPs have come in, that they've had other interests. You know, you've got people that have operated in public services, those that have acted as doctors, for example. To give one case where they can carry on in doing that, they need to make sure that they keep their skills up. But we need to make sure that the job that the politicians are doing is primarily about that responsibility that they have to their constituents, and they're not feathering their own nest. That's what this is all about.
Stephen Flynn was sat there on Monday exactly where you are now. He's the new leader here at Westminster. I asked him about suggestions that it had been a coup to unseat you. How do you feel about it?
Kay, I'm actually really looking forward to the job that I've got now. I spent 5.5 years as the SNP Westminster leader. I think I had 4 Prime Ministers over that period. I've accepted a new role as the First Minister's Business Ambassador. I'm getting on with that job. I'm also commissioning a report in a green industrial future for Scotland, which I'm going to take 6 months to do. So I'm really looking forward to the roles that I'm going to be fulfilling, and of course continuing to work as a constituency MP. So it's a new departure for me, using my previous skills working in business, working in the city, to make sure I can shine a light on a future for Scotland.
Was it a coup, though?
Look, at the end of the day, I took the decision to stand down. We have an annual election for the SNP leader. I'd been consulting with the First Minister about the ways I can strengthen the argument for Scottish independence. I'm really pleased about the job that I'm going to be doing. I'm getting on with that, making sure I'm serving my constituents, but I want to make sure that I'm delivering the messages how we can revitalise the Scottish economy, how we can deliver sustainable economic growth. And in fact, I've now got the freedom to do that, and I look forward to having those discussions with you and others over the course of the coming months.
Well, your ultimate leader is meeting our Prime Minister later on today. He's heading up to Scotland. Does that show that he's serious about the union?
You know, I think there are differences that, of course, that we have with Rishi Sunak, but there are times that we have to work together. There are important things that the First Minister and the Prime Minister have to discuss. But my message to Rishi is he has to respect democracy, and he has to respect that there is a mandate for an independence referendum that the Scottish Government has. But where it's appropriate, let's make sure that the two governments are working together.
Will she bring it up with him today?
I think the First Minister will use opportunities as the time arises to make the case that there is an independence majority in the Scottish Parliament. Our government was elected with a mandate in delivering a referendum. Rishi Sunak should respect that.
Oh, well, should your party respect what the Supreme Court decided?
Yes, we do, because at the end of the day, what we want to make sure is that we have a constitutional way of moving this forward. We respect the right of the Supreme Court to make that judgment. But this is a political issue. And how often are UK governments going to stand in the face of the votes of the people of Scotland? Let's remember the Tories have lost every election in Scotland since 1955. This is about the will of the people. It's about the right of the Parliament. Nobody was saying that the Prime Minister in the UK before Brexit didn't have the right to have the Brexit referendum. The European Union accepted through the Article 50 process the right of the UK to leave. What is the mechanism for Scotland to leave the United Kingdom if it chooses to do so? Prime Minister has to respect democracy.
Just before I let you go, there's a story in a lot of the papers this morning about Boris Johnson's team shredding documents ahead of this investigation into what happened with Partygate. Thoughts on that?
I think his whole behaviour when he was in office, he demeaned the office that he had, and of course we've got the investigations that are still taking place at Parliament, and he should face the justice of that committee. But at the end of the day, I think this is a man that breached the trust that was put in him by the electorate of the United Kingdom. It was a shameful period for our democracy.
It's always great to see you. Thanks very much indeed for joining us, Mr. Blackford. Thank you.
Thank you.